All right, we have our latest San Francisco 49ers update in regard to Brock Purdy and Ricky Pearsall. We'll obviously wait to hear the rest of the injury updates as the week progressed, but John Lynch went on KMBR and he said two things. One about Ricky Pearsall, one about Brock Purdy, and that they are both questionable this week against the Rams. So this is the way that I kind of interpret what John Lynch had said. That I think they're keeping it open that Brock Purdy could potentially play, but it'll be interesting to see if that actually is the case, because obviously we saw Brock Purdy clearly didn't feel or look like his normal self in that game against the Jags, and clearly it was out of rhythm. Didn't feel like he was really planting and driving off his feet like he typically would. And so on a short week, you had Kyle Shanahan come out and say on the press conference called that, Brock called him to complain about pain, which I thought was an interesting thing to divulge, but still he did. And so I think it puts Brock Purdy's availability up solidly in the air. And the other component to that is Mac Jones is fully healthy. They did a mock practice report yesterday, and Brock wouldn't have practiced, and Mac Jones would have participated in full. So, if I had to guess, I would say I'm less confident about Brock Purdy starting in this game against the Rams. I mean, they're still keeping it open as a potential possibility. John Lynch didn't shut it down, but maybe this gives the Rams or forces them to prepare for both quarterbacks. So we'll see about that. And with Ricky Pearsall, feels like something similar. Although he is questionable as well to play in this game, and we did see Ricky, in between plays, running out on the field, trying to cut. He went back into the game, said it didn't feel right, so he shut it down. So I do think it was described as a minor PCL injury, and I do think it is minor. We obviously didn't hear any, further updates on the injury. When we heard from Kyle Shanahan yesterday, it was early in the morning, and he said there might be some more injury updates. And so, this conversation with John Lynch was a pretty strong opportunity to be able to provide that information, and he listed both of them as questionable. So I think both of them are very, very questionable. It's gonna be very interesting, and I do think it's something that we will have to monitor closely, because again, also it's like that same mentality of, if you can go, you go. This is the NFL. There's no load management. There's no like, we'll sit this one out. So that's the interesting thing is, is Brock Purdy injured or is he just hurting? Obviously, there's a big difference between that, because if you're hurting, like everyone's hurt, but if you're injured, that really inhibits your ability to perform and play at a high level, and that's typically when you shut it down. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this week plays out. Today, will Brock Purdy get a limited participation in practice? What does that look like? And the other ones that we're going to also be looking for is Juwan Jennings, and seeing what his availability is like, and just fascinated to see how this whole situation is going to play out, because I don't know. I think with everything that's going down, you might have to just roll with Mac Jones. Obviously he tweaked his knee a little bit in the last game he played against the Arizona Cardinals, but we'll see, man. I think it's going to be up in the air until game time. It might even be a game time decision with Brock. If he'll be able to go or not. So I think it's going to go down to the wire, and we'll see. But we'll continue to monitor the situation. Again, John Lynch joined KMBR this morning to give some of these updates and feedback. So just curious to know what you guys think. Do you think that if Brock Purdy is available to go, should he go? Or do you think the 49ers should kind of maybe let him, sit this one out, get right on that foot, and, you know, wait until the following week against the Tampa Bay Bucks? And, obviously I think with everything that we've seen from Mac Jones is that we have seen that he is capable of obviously winning football games. This game against the Rams is going to be a challenging one. On the road, obviously SoFi Stadium is effectively a home game when the 49ers play there, so there's going to be a lot of red and a lot of support for the Niners. But it's going to be tough. No Nick Bosa, I think, is going to be a huge element to this, because obviously when we've seen the 49ers have a lot of success in the past, it's getting pressure on Matt Stafford, because if you give Matthew Stafford all the time in the world to just sit in the pocket and pick you apart, he's going to do that. He's still playing at a very high level. Puka Nacua right now is, wide receiver 1 in the NFL. So if you don't get pressure on Stafford, he'll pick you apart. So definitely no guarantee that the 49ers just go in and win this one. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.